You know how they say that art is an expression of life? Well, after my last 2 videos regarding the Hydra, would you believe that I ran across something on the news that it's like they're dangling it in front of us and people don't even have a clue that it's connected to all of these things, the beast of Revelation and the serpent, the water serpent, the dragon, all of that, the beast that rises up out of the sea, out of the swamp. And I just happened to be looking at the news, and this article came up on CNN. There's this TV show, I don't watch these shows, but it talked all about this. It says, the masked singer contestant, Hydra, is unmasked. I hope you're getting the whole meaning of that. We were masked. Now we're unmasked. The solution had the Hydra in it, and the NIH was experimenting with a genome project of the same Hydra. Let me just read this. It says, the masked singer unveiled its 3-headed beast Hydra during Wednesday's show. So this just happened right in the same week that I am putting videos revealing all these things one by one that were unveiled about the poison arrow and all of those things having to do with the Hydra as the poison that they used to put on the tip of an arrow in ancient times. So this was posted on CNN by Marianne Garvey, 12:42 p.m., April 7th, 2022. Hydra, a 3-headed dragon who blew fire, was the show's most out-of-control costume, according to host Nick Cannon. This week, Hydra sang Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top, but lost against Armadillo in the duel round and was unmasked. Some of the judges' guesses included South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, Will Arnett and Zach Galifianakis, and Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Hydra was none of the above and turned out to be comedian and magician Penn Jillette and his longtime partner Teller. As recently as last week, it was still unclear whether Hydra could be 3 separate people under the costume or even one person doing 3 different voices. As for the other contestants, Ringmaster performed Nicki Minaj's super bass, Armadillo sang I Fought the Law and Fell Down, and Miss Teddy sang Demi Lovato's Tell Me You Love Me. Ringmaster, Miss Teddy, and Armadillo each fight for a spot in the finale next week. So this was just in front of my face, just after I revealed all of that in my videos, more details about the Hydra. And it says, Hydra performs on stage during an episode of Fox's The Masked Singer. Michael Becker / Fox. So just think about the fact that these people were magicians and they were inside the Hydra, inside the unmasked singer. Just put all of that together with what they've been doing to us through this 2-year time span, and Dr. Madej finding the Hydra in the solution, then come to find out the research at the NIH has been going on for decades with Dr. F, and they have the Hydra Genome Project, which website I showed you in my last video. Here they are flaunting the Hydra in front of us on the stage, and the magicians are unmasked and they pop out, and ta-da! Look who we are! Look what we've done! Part of the new worthless order revealing its diabolical Beast of Revelation plot and scheme. Okay, so all of the celebrities and all of the audience were screaming and chanting, take it off, take it off. So all of the Hydra dragon had 3 heads. Then they took off the center head, and what came up was a rabbit in a magician's hat. So they're really playing with our minds, and they're just revealing it's just unreal. And then you have the magicians in the other 2 heads of the beast, and it's Penn and Teller, of course, the magicians. So all of these New Worthless Order people are just flaunting all of this in our face. And it's obvious who the people are that are perishing, that are not going to be saved. So I'll put the link to that video of the Unmasked Singer so that you can go look at it if you'd like. And there's a couple of screenshots that I took, so I just wanted to share those with you. And Fox News is credited with the TV show The Unmasked Singer. So let me just show you a couple of the pictures of the Hydra before it was unmasked and then after they unmasked it. Now remember, I was putting 2 and 2 together and telling you that they took this Hydra out of a swamp in Japan in 1973 and began researching on it at the NIH. And that's the National Institute of Health. And a certain Dr. F has been researching it for decades. And so I said, it was the beast rising out of the sea, because the painter Gustave Moreau, the French painter in the 1800s, painted the Hydra, and he was a symbolist, which means that he tried to put truth into his paintings, and he said that that was the beast of Revelation, the Hydra itself. So let me just read. I want to read a couple of things that people pointed out here. Shelby Stacy said, the folks that took the toxin, the beast rising from the sea, Revelation 13, the waters are the peoples, nations, and tongues, Revelation 17:15 tells us this. And that is the Revelation 13:3, and I saw one of its heads as if it were wounded by a sword wound to death, and did live, I think it says, and its deadly wound was healed. So obviously, I pointed some of this out before, but we know that it grows back. You can't destroy it. If you cut one of the heads off of it, it grows back, and all this stuff that you can jumble it up in a blender and it will regrow itself and fix itself. So it's just been a big experiment. We also know that Donald Trump said he was going to drain the swamp, and really was that just a play on words? Because he really did not drain the swamp of the corruption as much as we thought he was going to. So could it have to do with drain the swamp and bring out the Hydra? And then we were the masked people. Now we're unmasked, and this is being more revealed to us moment by moment, like the Unmasked Singer. Wow, I get what they're doing. One of my commenters, Northern Warrior, said, no wonder why Donald Trump talked about draining the swamp, drain the Hydra from the swamp, and the rest is history. Now, if you thought there was nothing to this, let's just report on this part of it too, that Marvel Comics has the Hydra, and Eric Williams is a high-level Hydra agent, and assassin who goes under the name Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper is a tech villain and an enemy to the Avengers. And this is a series, of course. So he's a high-level Hydra. And we know that that's the dragon, the water serpent. And remember the poison arrow where I was revealing Boniface III was shot with a poison arrow, and the poison was listed under poison arrow as the poison that came from a Hydra. And it says right here, he is known as the assassin who goes under the name Grim Reaper. And actually this Marvel character, when you look up the Grim Reaper, he's got this sickle in his hand. It's like a giant blade from a sword. And on his chest is the skull and bones. Of course, we know all about that history of those people. And we know that poison is depicted on bottles with a skull and bones. The word poison, you know, they would put a skull and bones showing that the bottle had poison in it. So he's depicted as the Hydra and the Grim Reaper. And let me just show this to you from Marvel Comics. That's just one of the signs of poison. Now that blade that he's holding is the scythe, and it is a tool used for cutting crops such as grass or wheat, with a long curved blade at the end of a long pole, attached to which are one or two short handles, cut with a scythe. The grass was scythed at regular intervals. It means to cut down, crop, trim. The difference between that and the sickle is that the sickle is a short-handled farming tool with a semicircular blade used for cutting grain, lopping, or trimming. And this is a little bit of the difference between a sickle and a scythe. Sickle has a short handle, while a scythe has a large handle that's long like a pole. Sickle has a semicircular blade attached to the handle, while in a scythe, blade is attached at right angles to the handle, called snath or snaith. Sickle is used with a single hand, while a scythe requires the individual to make use of both hands. And so what does the Grim Reaper represent? It's a personification of death in the form of a cloaked skeleton wielding a large scythe. Furthermore, the Grim Reaper is often associated as an agent of Satan or the devil. It also says, with this scythe, the Reaper severs the soul's last ties to life and grants the soul safe passage to the afterlife. Now that's what it says about the Grim Reaper. We see this in Revelation 14:15. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, "Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." Revelation 14:17, and another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. Thayer's Greek lexicon says this is 1407 in regards to the sickle, which is drepanon, and that's the Greek. And it says to pluck a sickle, a pruning hook, a hooked vine knife, such as reapers and vine dressers. Use in Mark 4:29 and Revelation 14:14 through 19. So don't you find all of that a little bit coincidental, that he's depicted as the Hydra, he's depicted as the Grim Reaper, the one that has the scythe in his hand, the sickle with the long handle on it. that is representing of harvesting the earth, and the sign of poison depicted right on the front of his shirt with the skull and bones. So they're really putting it in our face, predictive programming, with these different depictions of the Hydra and revealing little by little what it all means and what it means to the whole world. It's really shocking. I'm just kind of speechless right at the moment. This is not my favorite topic at all, so I'm just kind of going to leave it there. I think you can get the picture of how all of this is connected to the Hydra and symbolizing poison, symbolizing death, and just put that together with the 2 other videos that I just did on the Hydra and the solution and what was in it, the creature, the organism, the beast from the swamp that was depicted in the 1800s painting of Gustave Moreau, the French painter, depicting it as the beast of Revelation. And it was in the swamp, so it came up out of the sea. And of course, the sea is the sea of peoples, of nations, tribes, and tongues. It says about this character, this older profile covers his appearances as a living man. There is a separate profile for the Grim Reaper as a zombie. So now you can connect the zombie to this. When feasible, we'll cover his career as a series of more specific profiles, since Grim Reaper's abilities tend to vary depending on the plot. It also says about the character, Eric Williams, that played this, next secretly offered to transfer Vision's mind into Wonder Man's body and make it live again. That's like the Hydra that can't die. In exchange, Vision wouldn't oppose Williams' latest effort to destroy the Avengers. Vision initially refused but departed to consider the offer. You think they don't know what they're doing? So here they are once again playing with our minds and thinking we won't notice, and God's the one who's revealing all of this. It's unreal. They also show the skull with the bones with the sign danger, poison, keep out. Let me move to something else. Now we know that Disney's been in the news lately doing some unpopular stuff. Disney.fandom.com also has the Hydra. It's for the creature from Hercules, see Hydra. And then it says, cut off one head, 2 more shall take its place. Hail Hydra. That's the Hydra motto. Hydra is a subversive organization whose main goal is to take over the world. Originally a branch of Nazi Germany under the command to recipiency of Red Skull, it is now an evil organization that is spread across the world. Its name comes from the mythological Hydra, and their motto is the metaphor, cut off one head and 2 more will take its place, proclaiming the organization's resilience to foes. They would usually begin cheering out Hail Hydra upon hearing their motto. Hydra was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But take a look at this skull, the Hydra motto, and 6 legs. Hydra started as a rogue Nazi research division led by Johann Schmidt, better known as the Red Skull. They looked in Norway, a mystical object that was lost long ago. They used the power of mystical object known as the Tesseract to create weapons of mass destruction. When the Schuldstaffels visited the Hydra's facilities, they realized that Red Skull sought the world domination. As Schuldstaffels learned about his plan, Schmidt decided to kill them. When Schmidt learned that Americans, with the help of Abraham Erskine, would create a super soldier, he sent Heinz Kruger that if the experiment was a success, Kruger would to kill Erskine and retrieve the perfect formula for him. When Kruger was captured by Steve Rogers, he decided to commit suicide. After Steve Rogers managed to defeat an entire army, the SSR teams up with Captain America and the Howling Commandos to destroy the different Hydra's facilities around Europe. Captain America defeated the Red Skull when this one went to launch a super bomb on NYC, and Schmidt defeated. It was believed that Hydra was disbanded. Hydra is mentioned when Steve Rogers discovers several cases of Hydra weapons aboard the SHIELD helicarrier. These weapons and technology are kept by SHIELD for their program Phase 2, which involves reactivating the Hydra weapons with the Tesseract for use against superpowered or otherworldly forces. Rogers also mentions during a meeting that Bruce Banner should study Loki's staff while hunting for the Tesseract, as it functions similar to Hydra's weapons. So this is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Out of the shadows into the light, Hydra. Coded message for Hydra sleeper agents. Then that plot just goes on, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But it says that Hydra was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. Well, what we did not realize was that if you tried to take that freedom, they resist. The war taught us so much. Humanity needed to surrender its freedom willingly. After the war, S.H.I.E.L.D. was founded, and I was recruited. The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite inside S.H.I.E.L.D. For 70 years, Hydra has been secretly feeding crises, reaping war, and when history did not cooperate, history was changed. So isn't that interesting that during the pandemic, it took away a lot of our freedoms? And then Dr. Madej found the Hydra in the solution. And now look at all the connections, not only to the poison arrow that killed Boniface III, but just look at all this. Connected to death, the serpent, the beast of Revelation, the beast that rises out of the sea of humanity, and, put in the sickle and reap death by poison. So all of these things are being depicted in these cartoons. And when I was a kid, a lot of the cartoons were about some madman and his cohorts that were trying to take over the entire world. And they always had these villains that were trying to take all power and control away from the whole world. And this is exactly what these people, the WEF, intend to do with their resetting everything, the New Worthless Order. Gosh, let me know what you think about this. I just can't even believe my eyes. And manipulative people are horrible. They have a seared conscience, a seared heart. They have no compassion for other people. They have no conscience of what they've done to other people. And it's a narcissistic spirit that's going on. You can't reason with this kind of spirit. These are the people that are going to make war with the Lamb, Jesus Christ himself. Wow. Now something else I found was, this is spelled Hydra with an E on the end, and it says this article is about the type of three-headed dragon for the carnivorous plant which appears in Ultima 6. They are large reptilian beasts, similar in power and intelligence to dragons, but unique in that each Hydra sports 3 separate heads, each with a distinct personality of its own. These creatures appear in Ultima 4 and 7. Now it says that they are generally believed to be a subspecies of dragons and certainly possess both magical and physical prowess similar to that of their single-headed counterparts. So now you know why they had Penn and Teller, the magicians, inside the Hydra, the three-headed dragon depiction on The Masked Singer. Often found lurking within the depths of the cavernous dungeons. They have been known to hold conversations amongst their various selves, and disagreements between its three heads may provide a canny adventure with an opening for a preemptive assault. Here's some lore about it. It says, beware the evil breath of the multi-headed Hydra. The massive fireballs can fry most members of thy party. This creature is a type of dragon that possesses three heads. Like the dragon, a Hydra can also fly and breathe fire. So now you can see in this depiction, it's exactly what was on stage in the costume that the magicians were inside of. And this has to do with magical lore. In Strong's, the Hebrew word number 8577 is tanin. It means serpent, dragon, or sea monster. The Hydra was taken out of a swamp in Japan and they began researching it. It has been known in ancient times as a sea monster. I was just happening to look up the swamp Hydra, and I came up with this game from fandom. It says Swamp Hydra. Swamp Hydra is a type of monster in Adam. Who's Adam? They are very nasty monsters with several attacks per turn, each of which can cause poisoning. So that's in one of their games that I was just reading about. Listen to this. This is from microscopeclarity.com. It says, Hydra are predatory creatures that need to hunt food in order to produce energy. They eat worms, larvae, and other tiny invertebrates to sustain themselves. Their diet is thought to be strictly carnivorous, meaning they only feed on other animals and never feast on aquatic vegetation. When studied, the predators appear to be picky eaters. Small Hydra have been observed to strictly consume larvae prey such as copepods and cladocerans. Large Hydra do not waste their time with larval prey and stick to eating strictly adult copepods. This behavior demonstrates that Hydra are extremely efficient hunters, only exerting energy on prey that is worth the hunt from a nutritional standpoint. Other animals such as small crustaceans, water fleas, and shrimp are also on the menu. Hydra can consume other organisms up to the same size that they are. They have not been observed consuming animals larger than their own size. Hydra are mostly sensile, meaning that they spend most of their lives attached to a surface but can detach to switch locations if need be with the help of their tentacles. This means that the Hydra's prey must be within reach of its tentacles. Thankfully, a Hydra can extend its tentacles anywhere from 5 millimeters to 20 millimeters. The Hydra only has one opening, which it uses as its mouth and also an elimination. The opening has a ring of tentacles surrounding it. These tentacles are covered in stinging cells called nematocysts. Nematocysts act as both the Hydra's weapon and defense mechanism. So there you go. What is a Hydra microorganism? And here it is under a microscopic slide describing it scientifically. the coiled nematosis layer, the Hydra's tentacles. When a prey bumps into a tentacle, the coiled nematosis shoot out and deliver their toxin. It says, although generally too small to be considered harmful to humans, nematocysts have been known to incapacitate or kill small fish. Each nematocyst, much like a bee stinger, can only be used once, unlike a bee. Thanks to the Hydra's regenerative properties, the nematocysts typically grow back within 2 days. Once a nematocyst toxin set in, the tentacles of the Hydra wrap around its prey and slowly begin to work the meal towards its mouth and into its gastrovascular cavity. Skip down a little ways here. Hydra, despite their small size, are quite possibly the most impressive organisms in existence. Their regenerative properties are the marvel of the biological and medical community. Dubbed as immortal, Hydra may end up providing humans insight on how to live longer and regenerate our own cells through modern medicine. So that was from microscopeclarity.com. And that just really sums it up right there. So need I say more? This is the marvel of the medical and biological community, and they've been studying it for decades from a microbiological perspective. Please give me extra prayers, especially over this weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you gleaned something from this, and I thank you for supporting my channel and the work that I do. God bless. I think I'm going to stop for the evening. This is kind of on the dark side, and I don't really enjoy it much. But the Lord is just revealing all things. So He's trying to protect us. Hold on, because Jesus is coming.